Banana and Bears Rugby Pod.
Right, go on there.
Go on. Do you know what? It's just as well we turned off the camera because you had noticed that I'm covered in glitter.
No,
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Maybe the camera is able to, I don't know, blot it out or something. But it's midterm. My wife and child, they are very big into making do and crafts and whatnot. So I got brought into, I got in the door to, hey Dad, do you want to play with some slime? Okay. And then slime became glitter infused slime. And then, you know how glitter is, as they say, it's the herpes of the arts and crafts world. You'll never get rid of it.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a great way to spend your midterm and Halloween.
To be fair, yeah. I mean, he lives life at full tilt all the time. He got given a fiver by a random old woman today. Yeah. For being very, very nice in the queue, apparently. I mean, what? Nobody's ever handed me a fiver just for being nice in the queue.
You for what?
Just, it was a queue in the shop and he just turned around and he says, hello, what's your name? And she said her name was Miriam. And he says, nice to meet you, Miriam. So they got talking. And he was, yeah. And next thing she came outside and went, put that in your trick-or-treat box. You're a great boy. So like, thanks, man. Yeah.
I love when people do things like that.
It was so old school and lovely. It was lovely.
Yeah, and they took it into your hand.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I had shitloads of fivers. I could do that for people.
I know, yeah. Yeah, just fivers. Sure, they're what nothing these days, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, just a load of fivers just ready to like, don't say a word now. Give them a wink and push it into their hand.
Yeah. Welcome everybody to the podcast, by the way. Jesus.
Oh yes, the podcast is on.
Oh yeah, we better talk like people. Hey, how much did you enjoy baby Theo dressing up as you?
Stop.
They made another attempt today. Dave sent me on a video. They made another attempt. For anybody wondering, if you most likely follow Anna at this stage, but Dave, long-term listener, his boy Dave, he has twins. Himself and his wife Tina have twins, Theo and I said Ella. Oh no, well I know she dressed up as Elsa, but she was having none of it anyway. Dressing up as a bear to complete the package of she was having none of it. But Theo was more than happy to dress back up as Anna and sing Ireland's Call for me this evening. So it was, yeah.
What a legend. Oh, shout out to Theo and Dave and Co. Like, that was the cutest thing. The banana and the headband. Like, what a little legend.
Singing his guts out as well. Class.
I know.
So we meet you currently, listeners. I mean, you never know where you're going to find her. But we meet, more than anything, I'd be amazed if you still made it to the final at the weekend, given that you're in Cork. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'd be just amazed that you pulled it off.
No, I decided, and I was feeling like I probably could have gone to Paris because I had nothing else on. Alas, I watched the final in Derry Murphy's Finest.
Oh, jeez, Derry Murphy.
Yeah.
My God. So,
yeah, a few pints of Murphy's, Derry's, and then went to the Jazz on Sunday. But yeah, so very last minute, because I was supposed to go to watch La Rochelle play on Sunday. I had tickets organised for that and all, but I decided last minute to come home and get a few jobs done, and also grab some winter clothes. Like the weather has taken a turn. Like the last time I came back to La Rochelle, it was still like in the 20s, and it just dropped, and it's miserable, and it's been raining in La Rochelle for weeks now. And like I asked a few people, like just talking to them about the weather, and I just thought it was normal kind of Atlantic coast weather. You get a stint of awful rain for a few weeks. They're like, no, this is so weird. Like in La Rochelle, it would rain for like 3 days max, would be a really bad run of it. It's been raining now for about 3 weeks, and everyone's freaking out. Everyone's like, what the fuck's going on? This is like apocalyptic. So, and they're all blaming me. They're all like, oh, the Irish weather. I'm like, well, I know we make jokes about bringing the weather places, but you can't actually do that. So it's not my fuck fault.
To be fair, if more than anything, I'd be the ratty one if I was you. Going, hold on, I didn't sign up to this shit. Fuck's sake. Yeah. I could have played rugby in West fucking Kerry. if I wanted this kind of weather.
I'm just opening a nutty nougat caramel.
Yeah, that the children coming to the door are not going to get. I understand.
I've locked the door. Yeah. Even though someone comes to the door, I'll answer while I'm on the phone. We'll get a live.
Yeah,
stream.
We're gonna. You'll have to get them to sign a what do we call it?
Oh yeah.
I don't even know what it's called, and I've signed plenty of them myself. Basically, a release form for their use of their voice or whatever. But yeah, I watched
You
the
were in
match.
Galway.
I did. I watched the match. It took me to yesterday to watch the match.
Oh.
And I'll tell you why. And it was quizzed. 3, 4, 5 different people walked up to me and said, "I come watching the match," because I was done with my gigs. I was done. I've done my gigs I did 3 gigs on Saturday, and I was done. And I met a very good friend of mine, Mickey Bartlett, and his girlfriend upstairs in the Roisin Dove, and we're enjoying each other's company. And I said it to him, I goes, "Do you fancy watching the rugby match?" Because my phone was hopping, and he's like, "I won't lie to him. I fucking don't." Because he's not into rugby or sports in any way. But 5 different people, including Anne Marie, she's a listener as well. She goes, "You're not going up to the book on, it'd be great to watch it." And something came over me. I went, I can't do it. I can't actually do it. And I don't know, is it coming from a place of bitterness or just, I can't. I've just had a really fun 3. Because all I would think during the whole thing would be, could we have taken either one of these? Could we have taken either one of these? That's what. So it took me to yesterday to watch it, to come home and watch it yesterday. And I knew even watching it going, yeah, I would have been horrible watching this match. I would have been absolutely gross watching this match, because all I would have thought was, I fucking could have done this. We could have beaten either one of these bastards.
I was almost feeling more like that. I had kind of made my peace with the finalists, I think, because I just think they're just so good at winning when it really matters. It was the Friday night that was tormenting me. I was literally watching it disgusted. I was like, fuck these guys, like, and sorry, not against the team. I actually I think fucking fair play to England for like just at least the players just playing and just winning when it mattered, and just fucking they've taken so much shit. I'm just like, they've got nothing to do with the draw. It's not their fault. Like, fair play.
Yeah.
But in terms of like just watching it, thinking this would have been like, if we'd made it through the quarterfinal, this would have been like the lowest outcome, like the worst possible outcome to play on the Friday night. And I was just like, even if we got through the quarterfinal, if the wheels came off the cart, even after that, we'd have been playing tonight and we'd have been in Paris and we'd have made like the time of our lives. It was the Friday night that tormented me way more than the final, for whatever reason.
I get that, because and you explained it perfectly. If all we'd done was get through the quarterfinal, we were home and hosed anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was all gravy after that, and you're still making the final weekend. Do you know? Yeah, Jesus Christ almighty.
And we'd still have done the best we'd ever have done. It still would have been progress. You know, it still would have been like coming fourth in the world. We would have taken it.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's the fact that this team was probably the best team we've ever seen. Sorry, we're shouting on about it now, and we won't shout on about it anymore, but just the fact that we weren't able to get any further than teams of old, you know, kind of average teams of old. So the Friday night tormented me a bit, because it would have just made the last 2 weekends in Paris just incredible as well. So sure, look, this is where we're at.
Yeah. In fairness, one fellow was even, he would be one of the kind of showrunners at the festival. He goes, the only thing I will say, and he's a rugby man himself, and he was like, the only thing I will say is, Tom, there'd be fucking no festival. There'd be nothing. Nobody would be able to sit on their seats. You know, there'd be nothing. If there'd be certain nothing on for an hour or two before it, there'd be nothing on during it, and there'd be sure as shit would be no late show after it. To want to be a super late show, you know, because the whole country would go into meltdown. Like, if we were, you know, if it was the case, and it was like, okay, yeah, valid point.
Yeah.
I would, you know where I was Friday night actually, and it drowned out those fears or those thoughts, because I had those thoughts, and then I went in and I did a gig for TikTok. would you believe?
Oh yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah.
It was so I'm trying to make a comparative to you playing sports. Do you ever play a game and it's just a friendly or whatever, maybe you're even out of position, you're like, Era, go on, and then you had a belter and you have no idea why, because everything should be stacked against you. Do you know that kind of way? You're like, what am I doing out in the wing here, scoring 4 tries?
Yeah, well, like the pressure's off kind of a thing.
Yeah, it was this. It was totally sold to me differently. And in fairness to the guy at the booker, he was there. He's like, "Shoot, I don't know what to tell you, Tom." I'm like, "Oh, right." And we walk in, and what we had planned, the wheels had completely come off the wagon. It was just the office floor was taken up with loads and loads of people who were on the free beer. They'd hired a DJ and a face painter. And I was like, "What am I doing here?" And he was like, "I don't know, but we're getting paid, so you got to do something." I went, "All right." Okay. And no, like everybody's second language was English, and some of them didn't even have that. So I'm like,
Jesus.
how do I compete? And I got to knock an hour. I'm contracted to an hour.
Was that in the TikTok headquarters in Dublin?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unreal. Well, I love TikTok because they sponsor the Women's Six Nations.
Yes, they do. They do.
Well,
Do you know what? They turned out to be a lovely bunch of people. No idea what was going on. They had less of an idea what was going on than what I had. Do you know? Like I'm talking
but
to
that's
somebody.
kind of a corporate thing. Do you know the corporate are always like booking stuff and they
Yeah.
just turn up.
Yeah.
That's
And
a great way of doing things.
to be fair, they were all slaughtered. And do you know what I mean? You're talking to somebody, hi, I'm from Belarus and I'm from Dagestan. You're like, okay, class lads. Anyway, do you know anything about Richie Kavanagh? This is literally the team I was keeping. And to be fair, they had this DJ, and I don't know, he seemed like a nice fella, but he was away with the birds. So I said, look, we need to eat the clock here. So every time I said, because we ended up, they rooted out, they had a couple of great prizes to give away for a finish. So I created competitions of dance offs and stuff like that. And because there was no comedy going to work here. Like, so I said, and anytime I give away a prize, you're going to play a tune. And I want you to go full 90s, early 2000s. He goes, that is literally, he looked at me, he was like, that's literally my repertoire, man. I went, great. So like the first person, it was, they won the Never Have I Ever. And it was like best celebrity meetup story. And this guy, basically, he shared a flight on a private jet with J-Lo because he was to fix her Wi-Fi. And she was so frustrated with waiting on the tarmac while the Wi-Fi was getting fixed. She just went, just sit down. He was like, I shouldn't be going with you. Even well, we were going, and that's that. So he had to sit on the plane just looking as J-Lo looked out the window, and they flew all the way to Paris from LA or from New York. So this guy had to sit. And this guy was he was a tech nerd. He wasn't the sort of fellow who was going to have idle chit chat with J-Lo either. But it was a great story. And with that, all of a sudden, I give DJ Mark the thumbs up, and Cotton Eye Joe kicks in for 3 minutes. I'm like, there's 3 minutes I've eaten up anyway. All right, on we go.
Shame it wasn't a Cotton Eye Joe J-Lo remix. Cotton Eye J-Lo.
Do you know, Cotton Eye Low.
That'd be unbelievable.
That actually would be
Cotton Eye Joe.
Yeah, that would be an unbelievable mix. Country people would go into meltdown though, Anna, with something like that. That'd be too much.
Oh yeah.
That'd be too much. That'd be like, so, and that was how the evening. Literally at 59 minutes 58 seconds, I was just looking, and I gave away the last prize. It was the guy for the top crack merchant, and from a previous thing from ages and ages ago, I found a bag from Flying Copenhagen Tiger that had a crown in it, a little princess crown in it. And I was going to throw it out, and I went, do you know what? I'll use that sometime. I don't know why. So I brought it with me, and this guy who was about 6'8", who did an amazing version of dancing to Eric Pride's Call on Me. Very, very sultry. Too sultry for that hour of the evening, in my opinion, but he got top crack merchant, and at 58 seconds, I shook the man's hand, put a crown on, and said, good night, and thanks everybody, back in the car.
Class.
It was like, okay, talk about bluffing out my whole.
Yeah, unreal. Sure, that's it. Like,
well, they were all happy. They got prizes and got absolutely slaughtered. I'm like, what kind of job do you all have that you can all get this absolutely blazed on a Sunday night or on the Thursday night? They're like, most of us will be working from home tomorrow. I went, by that you mean you're not going to do anything tomorrow? I went, exactly.
Let's have like one of those things where it moves the mouse on the laptop while you just snooze next to it.
Just a chicken with a fucking mouse sellotape to its beak.
Yeah, or a hamster in a wheel. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so that was where that started, and then I was able to avoid. Of course, there was immediate podcast out after it because it was just about the time the game was about midway and stuff. So halfway down the road, I was like, go on then. But it would
Mhm.
seem I watched that only got to watch the extended highlights of the England match, and all you can do, like in all like. If you take yourself out of the Irish equation and you for a British person or whatever, or an English person, I say, all you can do is go, well, fuck it, lads. For all the bluff and bluster they had about Ireland and France, we fucking made it to third. And yeah, I know, as you said, the draw is the draw and everything else, but you have to kind of go, yeah,
Yeah.
right enough. They did. I wrote, and I don't know where I put it down. I wrote a boxing analogy for the whole World Cup, and I'm raging I can't find it. It was purely for you, right? It was a
Right.
boxing analogy. There was references to different fighters and stuff, but I think if we, and this is probably maybe I'm getting off the fence too early. Maybe we should talk about the game first.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
talk about the game first because I feel
yeah,
like there's a lot to talk about in terms of the aftermath of the game as well and what's
yeah.
happened. Yeah. Well,
Uh, I
um,
I mean, you text me and I was going, and my phone was hopping, and I'm like, I was on Twitter watching the replays, the instant replays, like, and I'm
oh
supposedly
yeah.
not watching, and you're texting me. What? I mean, there's all about you spoke about it way earlier in the season about when it comes to final time, like you just have nothing to live for at that stage. You're absolutely empty in the tank for everything that's in it. Like, and if that could be summed up by anybody, Peter, Steph, the toy, sweet, suffering teddy bears. Ah,
Unbelievable. I called it, I said it about 20 minutes in. I was like, fuck me, he's playing well. I was thinking he was just like having like a really good first half and maybe he's kind of quieting down second half. Oh my God, like
the
yeah.
fitness levels from a man that size, and you know
But
what?
possessed, like possessed.
Possessed. And would only come across as a kind of a nice enough character, but like when he speaks and stuff, a very gentle sort of a fella. But my God, the Barrett family, like the whole Barrett family, have to go. Why does he hate us? He's just going around melting Barretts for a living.
Nailing them, absolutely nailing them. Mike, he just was on form. And obviously every hit he was making was giving him more energy,
Of
like and
course.
just more enjoyment. And yeah, he's a pure farmer, I think. But
Oh,
you know that
she's
he
all the look of it, sure.
like and he nearly lost his leg a few
He's
years ago.
he's going around with his father's Achilles or ligaments or something. Do you know that?
I thought it was a hamstring tendon.
Well, whichever his old lad gave him well, let's say he gave him a hamstring tendon. That's a
Yeah,
60
donated.
that's a
Yeah.
60-year-old hamstring tendon he gave and he's going around with that and not bothered
And
him.
was the standout player in the final of the World Cup, yeah,
Yeah,
by a mile.
I reckon his old lad gets a fucking medal as well.
Yeah.
Do you know,
That's an unbelievable story. Like,
that's a
do you know,
documentary in itself.
it is. I'm almost surprised that it took me till after seeing him perform like that to learn that fact. Like I'd love to have known that earlier on so I could have followed him a bit more because he's been playing like this for a while apparently, like Peter Steph type fans, but like he never, I suppose he just wouldn't have watched or paid like too much attention to like Springboks games that aren't versus Ireland. Like you'd watch them, but you wouldn't watch them so. At least me, I wouldn't watch them so intently that I'd be like, oh, this player, that player. Especially a player like him who just kind of just getting through a load of work. But
Yeah,
my
yeah,
God,
yeah.
um,
It's nearly a sad indictment that a fella, because he kind of just gets the head down and gets to work, that he
yeah,
doesn't draw the attention that he has to
yeah,
hit people 28 tackles in a final and dominant,
mm,
like busting frontal rowers and everything, like with
nailing
like
people, yeah,
nailing people, like that he
yeah,
has to do it. And I mean, we all love him. RG Snyman comes on, just throws, one-handed pass for 20 meters out over the top. You're like, well, I will never forget that ever.
yeah,
Or there's lads
yeah,
like Sia Khaleesi, okay, coolest guy ever to play rugby, like, and then
yeah.
yeah,
Like
even
standout players
yeah,
and someone like, and I was texting you about Faf de Klerk as well. We talk about Faf de Klerk now, but like so obvious to the eye,
yes,
so easy to pick up on, but like you know a number six, usually is just like head down. They don't even make too many breaks because usually they're like kind of second to the ruck or whatever, like because they're they might break from a line out or a scrum a little bit later, so they usually arrive to ruck and support a ruck. They're not usually first or second on the ball, so like not even making a huge amount of meters, but my God, like just the fact that you could be a standout player with such a kind of an unsung hero role anyway, or not so standout role, is just like such a credit to him. Like he was just fucking phenomenal.
It says something about the size of humans. When a 6'7", 19 stone man doesn't stick out to us, you're like, well, yeah, sure, he's in there somewhere.
Yeah. Did you see? Now I know we will talk about after the match as well, and we can talk a bit more about the rugby, but just came into my head there as we're talking about like basically the size of the players. There was a video of, there's been millions of video of the Springboks celebrating and stuff, but there was one in particular of them all singing on the bus, "We are the champions." And like they just looked like a bunch of toddlers that had like were on their way home from a school tour. Like they were screaming and like all out of key, and like they just looked so hilarious. And someone had written underneath, that's either a really small bus or some really large people. They were all like washed in. I'll send it to you. I should have sent it to you already. I actually need to find it again because it made me laugh so much. It just looked like toddlers. It's so funny. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It gets to a point too. You can do anything, when you've just won the World Cup, and you're Eben Etzebeth with the biggest arms in the world. And I was looking at his hair at the World, the World Rugby Awards the following night. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, would you not have brushed your hair before you could? And you're like, no, of course you don't have to do anything with your hair. Even though R.G. Snyman has attacked it with and given you a bit of a mohawk. Of course you don't have to do anything with your hair. Of course you don't.
They hadn't even gone to sleep, like.
Nah, madness. Could they not have given it to next weekend, like?
They should have, because like they're the World Rugby Awards, and they held them on the same evening when the women's fucking not even a women's second or third tier competition. Like the women, like all of the best women's 15s players are in like New Zealand and South Africa right now. Like fucking stupid. They could have just held it. I suppose they wanted to have it in Paris. It just was horrendously bad timing. We'll come back to that in a while, because we need to talk about that as well. But in terms of the rugby, like I messaged you as well, like, all this talk about Antoine Dupont, which is, very much warranted, because he is absolutely class. But like, and I know a lot of people know Faf de Klerk and recognize Faf de Klerk, but my God, he's some fucking player.
He's class. He's so class. I won't say I've ever had much love for Dupont other than appreciation, but he's Mr. Robot, like, you know what I mean? He's almost what Johnny Wilkinson was back in the day. Okay, yeah. Metronomic, unbelievable, does everything right, does everything sensational, but there's no character to love. Do you know, like in wrestling, you need a character to love. Like you need. Yes. Faf is like a mini Hulk Hogan or something running around the place with the fucking hair. He's like the Ultimate Warrior.
That's what he's like, yeah. Oh, fucking, I enjoy, and like he'd often piss me off. Like, remember I remember seeing out the corner of my eye one day. I think I said this. I might have said this on an episode a while back, but it just always stuck in my mind. I remember being in a public place and there was rugby on the telly, and I only kind of saw it out the corner of my eye, and I was like, I thought it was a women's rugby match that I just happened upon, which is just such a weird thing to happen. It doesn't usually, that you walk in somewhere, they're playing women's rugby, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh, never mind. This is Faf de Klerk.
Who is this lovely lady?
I'm like, oh, never mind. But he's you're right about the character thing, like his hair and stuff. But sorry, the point I was going to make is that which club does he play with now?
Is he gone back? He's gone back to South Africa, hasn't he? He's probably off to make a fucking $1 million in
I'm actually not sure.
Japan. I'm sure he's gone back, hasn't he? Because he was with Sale for ages.
I can't.
Did he go back to the Sharks? No, leaving the Sharks to go back to the Sharks. Was there something about that made it sharky in the story? No,
maybe shark to shark kind of action. But when he used to play for Sale, he used to annoy me so much because he was such a terrier, and like kind of always, I think he used to be really barking at the referees a lot, and I haven't seen that from him lately, and because of that I like him a lot more, because I think he must have erased that from his, like, his as a player, or maybe that was more of his role when he was playing for Sale, but constantly barking at the referees, like throwing himself down injured and stuff, like he doesn't behave like that anymore. So whether that's a personal discovery thing, whereas like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore, or it's a Razzie thing where he's like, stop fuck acting around, you don't need to do that, and just focus on how you play.
I wonder too, but I suppose everybody matures, don't they, like after a while,
definitely, yeah,
and
absolutely.
as you said, that might have been his role in what we call it, in Sale,
yeah.
going, faff, give it fucking loads, whereas
Yeah,
put a shoe
he's
on
just
the
so
other.
much more enjoyable to watch now. Like, he's an absolute pleasure to watch now. Because he's still that terrier, but he's not like calling for stuff. Like, you can see that he's just so focused on what they need to do. He's not barking at the ref or barking at anyone. So yeah, pleasure to watch, I must say now.
He he's one of those ones that again draws the eyes, much like RG Snyman does when he because it's just such a cool looking person to look directly at, or just an odd fish, like just it's like Marler. Do you know what I mean? Is you're going, okay, right, this is a cartoon character, this is somebody I want to keep an eye on, like, but
it's because of their character as well. Like, if you allow yourself to become known off the pitch, you're easier to spot on the pitch then as well. In a weird way.
And it says a lot about a fellow who'll run around a rugby pitch with a long head of hair. Like that's, won't even tie it up. Like, you're like, okay, okay.
Did you see? Sorry, this is moving on from fellas with long hair, but Oxen Che.
Yeah, some name, Oxen Che.
Yeah, oh my God. He posted that picture a couple of weeks back about salads don't win scrums, and he's there eating the big slice of chocolate cake.
Yeah.
And did you see? Someone asked him. I absolutely love this. Someone asked him, "What are you going to eat to celebrate?" And he's like, I think I'm going to have caramel cheesecake. I saw it in the hotel earlier.
Like, that was in his mind.
Yeah.
That was in his mind.
But exactly, like, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Where you spotted something and you're going to go back for it. I just thought it was
That's my treat now. Yeah.
The way he was like thinking about the caramel cheesecake in the hotel, like, what a cutie.
Yeah.
And like, just the fact that he's just had a fucking phenomenal World Cup, like, and just such a little happy head on him, and the whole salads don't win scrums and eating his chocolate cake, like, that's a good image as well, because sport in general is so strict on diet and has been guilty of forcing people into eating disorders and becoming obsessed with food. And the fact that rugby can, like, just celebrate, like, the fat guys and just enjoying food, and it's just such a lovely thing, and he just encapsulated it so well, where he just was such a standout player then as well.
Yeah, make no odds that the man is having the odd munch of a cake. Like, not everybody needs to look like Jesse Creel with the shirt off. Like, you can still get the job done. Like,
it's not even in spite of the cake; it's because of the cake.
Because of the cake.
Yeah.
Like that. Who was it that was dancing? Which one of the front rows was dancing? Like,
what's his name? So it wasn't Manambi, and it wasn't Nche, it was the other fella.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't remember his name.
He's an unbelievable mover, like.
So good.
So good, like, and I'm after seeing it about 6 times, and I've never once seen his name under it. It's just quick little memes of it, and they put different tunes under it. Doesn't matter what tune you put under
and
it.
He's shaking his shoulders, like, oh yeah. Do you know, it was like, it was such a close game. I thought Wayne Barnes was phenomenal. I think a lot of people were giving out about the penalty from Ardi Savea, and there was a lot of in the first half, and there was a lot of clips being replayed of the conversation that Ardi Savea had with Wayne Barnes, and Wayne Barnes basically said, "Oh, it was fine." That's not what he meant. Like, he clearly said. So do you know the penalty I'm talking about?
Where the high shot, was it? No.
It was when it was in the first half, coming up to half time. Ardi Savea tackles and gets on the ball really quickly. Now, it's such a fine line. some referees will say that you didn't release and some will let it go.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
but that, like, as a back row who does this all the time, you are playing a highly risky game there by towing the line and not lifting your elbows up even a fraction more or delaying just a fraction more. Like, you can't expect. I know Wayne Barnes is apparently a world class referee. I think he is, and maybe Artie Savea is like, he'll know I released, but like, it's too risky, especially in a World Cup final, not to show just a little bit more space between your arms and the tackler. Because if you tackled and you want to rob the ball, which is what Artie Savea was trying to do, you can't make the tackle, keep your hands on the player and rob the ball. You
Oh,
have
you mean
to
like Sam Whitelock did at the end of our game? But you're look at say no more. Go on.
I
Case
I've
in point
erased
was
that memory.
Sam Whitelock did not let go, and yet it was considered a perfectly fine steal. So maybe in that instance,
But see, that's the thing. So sometimes it'll go your way and sometimes
yeah,
it doesn't. But to make sure that you're not treading that really fine line, you just lift your hands a little bit more. That's all. Like, there was very little, lift of Artie Savea's arms. It was only the momentum of whoever it was that he tackled that allowed the release to happen in Artie Savea's mind. Like, I know myself, I've gotten away with that like a couple of times and I've been like, I was fucking lucky there.
yeah,
So, yeah, and it depends on the ref. So in a World Cup final, you need to just make sure. So a lot of like New Zealanders like saying like the ref was against New Zealand, that penalty was a disgrace. Da, da, da. It's like, it was such a marginal penalty. You cannot be saying that that was the difference in the game. Like, it was so risky and just paid off for South Africa. Like, it just cannot be going on about that. Now, I did think that the last turnover as well, I'm sorry, I'm saying that Wayne Barnes is excellent. I still stand by he was excellent. Your man's hands went on the floor
they did,
before he got on the ball. And that's, I was like, oh fuck, like that's much more obvious than the previous penalty just been talking about. So
that's a straight wrong call. Like and that's fair enough.
yeah.
But also, I think there's no right or wrong call in the previous one you're talking about. Like, there is. He was. You can absolutely argue that he was 100% right, and all day long he can stand there and go, "Who wouldn't have called that? Who wouldn't have called that?" Like, the man has to show me a picture where you'll see it. As you said, like, some people would literally flail their arms out for a split second to show a ridiculously obvious release, and then in like a tiger in on top of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be relying on the ref to have seen it. You have to have shown it. Like, but I think, the last turnover, I was actually gutted for New Zealand because I just thought it wasn't the right call. Even though, like, I didn't care. I was kind of going for South Africa just because it's so much for now. Like, and at least the political situation in South Africa and a lot of South African friends and the Munster connection and things like that. Like, I was going for South Africa, but I also didn't mind. I just wanted the right team to win. But my God, the All Blacks made an awful lot of errors.
They did,
an awful lot of errors.
I think they played their final against us, to be honest with you. That was it. Their best rugby in 3 years was against us. That's it. And I would argue South Africa playing against us and losing against us was damn near their best game in the tournament too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They were damn near flawless that night. Do you know?
Yes. So true. Yeah.
No, God, that's fuck all used to us. Says you, what bank will I cash that in, Tom? But at the same time,
no, not to us, but in terms of them, like, they're a lot of Kiwi fans. This comes back to the culture thing we would have been talking about last week, or we talk about most weeks anyway. But like, just how I just found my head is wrecked from the bitching and spluttering and attacking online from, fans online going after the refs, going after the games. This was shit. That was shit. Like, there's only one team that's ever happy and everyone else seems unhappy. Like, it's just I feel this week, and I know in a different way, I was still kind of enjoying the rugby element of it, but now I'm just like, I I don't want to see another rugby ball again till Thursday. Like I'm just so tired of the bitching and moaning and attacking online, especially like the attacking of Irish fans is still going on, even though 100% people like coming after, like, you know, the Razzie song, like, oh, it's so sad that they're singing like Razzie instead of Zombie.
I
Like,
know.
I mean, whatever. I get it. Like, I'm not saying they shouldn't. It's just sad to hear it. And I just commented underneath it, and then people like, oh, like taking the piss out of me. I was like, but Ireland are gone. Like, you know, we didn't play Ireland in the final. Like, leave us alone. Leave us out of this. And the only thing I think of is, like, first of all, we know how huge culturally rugby is in New Zealand. So that's why they're salty. They also lost in a very marginal game. So I get it. They're really pissed off. So they're just attacking people online. Fine. Okay, whatever. The South African fans, I'm trying to like work this out. They're literally still, even though they won, attacking people online like, oh, you thought this, or you thought you like, oh, you're shit. I think there's like this whole, which makes sense, a whole huge new wave of South African supporters because of this Sia Khaleesi generation, because of the last World Cup, and a lot of new rugby fans who don't understand rugby.
Yeah, the values.
Thoroughly.
Yeah.
They only understand, and they only know the Springboks. They don't know what rugby means to other people in other countries. They're literally just woohoo, like on a bandwagon essentially without a full amount of understanding. So they're literally just taking so much pleasure in like attacking people online.
Yeah.
Like, it's been bad. Now there's been other elements to it as well that I'll maybe talk about in a minute if you know what, if we'd called yesterday, I would have needed a counselling session because I was in such a bad way yesterday after everything that had gone on. But sorry, go on. I interrupted you there.
I did a gig last Tuesday. Did a gig last Tuesday in UCH. Our mutual friend Barry Murphy was there with his wife. They enjoyed themselves thoroughly. And we go again this Thursday in myself and Barry's club, Cask Comedy Club. Yeah. Chris Kent is coming to do the first ever night of it this Thursday night. Oh, it'll be class. Apparently, Paulie and Earlsy are coming with the wives.
Unreal.
I said, well, you know what happens. He went, I know. Did they know what happens? He's like, I don't think they do. I said, well, you're going to have to sit in front row. So, because they're in the firing line straight away. It's like, hey, you're going to go. I said, you're going to go hard. I said, yeah, of course I am. They're two of the most luckiest, privileged people in the room. Of course I am. You have to punch up. I said, literally, look at Paul O'Connell punching up. The whole room will appreciate it. But anyway, what was hilarious was this. I was talking with the audience, and I was talking with this one woman. I said, where are you from? Because I noticed a bit of a burr in her accent. I said, South Africa. Oh, no. I said, yeah, Jesus. And she goes, I'll stop you there, Tom. I couldn't give a fuck. It was perfect. Yeah. She goes, I don't care. It's not for me. It's not for me. But you could see by the woman, I'd say she'd be happy enough to support if there wasn't quite a large group, and it's not painting everybody with the same brush, but quite a large group that were a complete dose of shite to be around when do you know what I mean? She had that look. Like, I'd be into it, Tom, if we're more easygoing like E. Do you know what I mean? Or Wales or Scotland or something.
Yeah.
But there's such a dose of shite to have to deal with the booker, to a degree.
Yes.
And again,
but
there's these fucking knuckleheads,
knuckleheads, but I feel like that's not the bandwagon type.
No, yeah, okay.
I feel like there's some very, like, do you ever hear Trevor Noah? Do you ever listen to him?
Yeah.
He's talking about like playing a gig in South Africa, and if you have to play like the day after this, or the same day that the Springboks have played and the Springboks have lost, and there's all these Afrikaans guy in the front row, and they're just like staring him down like, oh, this shit, like, oh, the game was cock, the ref was cock, man. Like,
yeah.
Just get so hyped up about it. Again, the same as the New Zealand thing, like when it's your first sport, when it's such a really strongly identifiable thing, it leads to people like that as well. Well, you'd probably get GAA heads like that.
Yeah,
We definitely get GAA heads like that.
I don't know. I don't think so, because I think
Don't think so either.
there definitely would be, but not to that extent nationwide.
Yeah.
Because the great thing about GA is there's 32 counties of it. You know, at least 30 odd or nearly 30 counties of it. But there's, whereas everybody wins and loses every second week anyway, and there's no country collective. Like Mayo has a very different approach to how Wexford would approach their football team. It's a very, very different, and it's like, yeah, well, we'll
but
have
if
that.
you think of like Limerick, let's take Limerick as an example now, like, and people will be giving out about Limerick because they're so good and stuff, and that's kind of normal. But I don't think I haven't seen Limerick people or fans turn around and like shove it in other people's faces.
They absolutely don't. They absolutely don't.
Like,
And I meet people on a public basis all the time and talk to them about this, and they're like, sure, it's great. Do you know, that's the attitude.
It's not unique to Limerick, but you'd have people that are like, the bastards, and you'd be kind of like,
yeah.
fuck them anyway. But that's normal, but it's not, it's just I'm so tired of teams like in victory turning around and like saying, if there's one thing worse than a sore loser, and I've said this my whole life, and I learned this in primary school, like I coined this term to myself. It's not a term to be coined, but I remember saying this to myself in primary school when we used to play soccer in the yard. If there's one thing worse than a sore loser, and at least a sore loser is understandable because they've lost, it's a sore winner.
Oh God, like fucking is it Rico Ioane to fucking Johnny Sexton? You're like, man, wind it in.
Yeah, did you see? I just think, and this is there are obviously exceptions to this because I've seen Irish people behave like this online as well. I just don't think Irish fans are like that, and we're just too delighted with our own success that we've no time to be like sticking your finger up in other people's faces. But did you see Joanna Coops commented on Rico Ioane's girlfriend's post after New Zealand beat Ireland?
No.
Rico Ioane's girlfriend posted saying, now, she obviously meant to put a shamrock and put a 4-leaf clover. Guess the 4-leaf clover, meaning Ireland, isn't so lucky. That was her celebratory post about New Zealand winning quarterfinal. Guess wow. Ireland is not so lucky. It's so fucking bitter and disgusting. I hate it so much. It makes me upset. And Joanna Coops wrote on it after the final and just I don't know, did she say anything? But just basically was like, wind it in, essentially.
Yeah.
And now your one has made her page private because a lot of people were going over liking Joanna Coops' comment. So yeah, I'm so glad that it's over, all this like rubbing shit in people's face. I'm getting really tired of it.
I'd gotten quite good of staying away from social media. Actually, my phone, would you believe it? And I'd love to look at the chart of the year. My phone, every week, you get your thing, and it's like, oh, you used your phone 29 minutes less. And I genuinely think it's down to that. I genuinely think it's down. I go like, oh, I can't. No, can't. Phone back in the pocket. Can't.
Yeah, you're dead right.
And it's every single week it's been coming down. Like it was an hour and 29 minutes last week. And I'm like, it can only be that. Because especially Twitter, if I went on, close. No. Can't.
Stop.
Thankfully though, I think my phone started to cop onto it. And it just started to show me unbelievable insights from Bernard Jackman. Unbelievable insights. That's all. Just these incredible. And I tweeted him something the other day, and he kind of laughed. He gave me the laugh emoji for it, but I don't think because being a comedian, sometimes you can't be taken seriously when you do try to write something with a bit of zest. But even if there is honesty in it, I think a lot of the time people who don't fully understand, they go, oh, clearly this guy laughs nonstop and is a maniac. But he'd written about There was some talk about trying to get rid of scrums or whatever. It's like, well, that can't
Well,
happen,
yeah.
for God's
Yeah.
sake. And
Some
my
sort of Matt Williams kind of
yeah,
idea.
wished out of that, wished out of that kind of stuff. But he was saying, it's how could you possibly? It would be just ruin the game. There'd be no game. And I wrote underneath it. I said I genuinely believe that if there was more enthusiasm and dynamism and more education from the commentary team when a scrum is going on, you could definitely make it more enthralling for the viewer. I said, think about it. I said, if we were watching you and John Foggs from a drone cam footage watching a scrum, watch 16 Goliaths smash into each other to be Shakespearean stuff, like. And I was serious in it. Like, commentators switch off. They fucking switch off when they're like, all right, we'll come back to you when this out shite is over, kind of a thing. They've nothing to say.
Yeah.
They've nothing to say on it. Like you could absolutely do now I'm not saying go full American football on it or full, like if you, again, and I harp back to it every so often, and I don't like to because I don't even watch it that much, but some of the most boring shite in the UFC is the UFC. Fellas on top of each other trying to strangle each other. And you're like, what am I watching here? Sure, nobody knows what's going on. Because unless you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, you don't know the tiny nuances of what's going on. But what you have are at least two people who know exactly what they're watching, and they're making it sound unbelievably exciting. But truth be told, if they weren't there, you go, this is what the fuck are they doing? Just stand up and let them kick each other or something. This is dreadful. But they make it really interesting. But if you had somebody watching the scrums going, oh my Jesus, or to that extent, here we go. Oh, they're in. Oh, Jesus, they're getting a bind on, and just giving stats and fucking, what. Like, I remember, I'll still to this day remember Andrew Sheridan. They used to talk about how powerful he was when he played for England, that he could deadlift a third of a ton. I still remember it because it was a stat that they gave out that made him sound like the fucking Hulk. Do you know?
Yeah.
It was like, yes, here we go. Do you know, it was just one of those things that I was like, this makes it interesting already because now this guy might actually kill somebody. He might kill somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Rather than, like, I'm not saying it would eradicate a lot of the soppy old shite around rugby, but at least it would add another element to it where you don't have to talk about the negative sides of things. Like, it'd be just like, I think sometimes rugby can kind of go, right, we need to be careful. What are people saying that are negative? Because we should try and rather than going, let's just try and make the entire thing more positive to watch and enjoy. Do you know? Because I think some stuff went missing, especially some of the footage throughout this World Cup. I know they were trying to speed it up and stuff, but some of the footage went absolutely out for a fag when it was badly needed to be called back on. Like, but much like, I mean, I was kind of sick into that was some try by New Zealand at the weekend, only for the knock on at the back of the line out. Was it like your man Mark Taleo? What is he made of? What kind of gelatin? What is he made of?
Yeah, it was such a fucking good try.
But how's he doing it? What is it? Millimeter stuff. He's moving because he doesn't look as dramatic as, say, Colby when he's running through a gang of men.
Yes, it's slithery old slidey stuff.
Oh, I like that's the official terms, is it? The slithery.
That's the official term, yes.
There's not enough slitheriness to talk about in rugby these days. Slithery. But strange to see. What did you make? I suppose the other conversation I suppose that was happening was what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And when it comes to Sam Kane's turn to take a red card, but not Ardi Sevilla's, I saw him as being two completely fucking different things. But for some reason, of course, it seemed to be contentious. I don't know why. Did you see it that way? Or you were like, no, both should have gotten red, or what? How did you feel about it?
So I thought Sam Kane's was definitely red. Because of the force he drove through his shoulder. But I also was thinking they're going to look for any kind of a mitigating factor here. And I thought they might have used, who was it? Who did he tackle?
Jesse Creel. What I
Creel.
thought they might use was the change of direction, that he turned right back into him.
I agree. And especially because I felt like all year they've been going after this, like, no head contact, no head contact, no head contact, no, zero tolerance, zero tolerance. And I felt like they'd set up a good kind of understanding for the World Cup. And then, at least from the earlier stages of the World Cup, they were like dying for mitigating factors.
Yeah.
Like, to just, like, the precedent they set, I think, just wasn't consistent coming into the World Cup. So when he was in the bunker, I was like, oh, they'll surely find a mitigating factor here, because you could, like, I can find them sitting here. I can say, oh, there was a change of direction and but I think the thing that fucked him in the end was that he drove through.
Yeah.
Because if you're caught like that standing up, you shouldn't really be, falling backwards will be just as easy as driving forwards in that instance.
And possibly catching him in the, you taking it to the chest, rugby league style, a touch better. But he, as you said, he melted through with his shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it came back, I was like, oh no, this is terrible. Like, this is such a shame. And then, are you talking about Sia Khaleesi's yellow card?
Sia Khaleesi's yellow card. Sorry, not. I think I said Ardy Sevilla, but yeah, even though
Yeah,
he did,
yeah.
yeah. But Sia Khaleesi's, but he was kind of second man in, didn't know where his head was going with sloppy, but not.
It was the back of his head that knocked with someone else's, so it was completely different. Like, it wasn't a shoulder to head contact. Like,
but Howard is like right now he changed direction, but you have to believe that Peter Steph Toy would have gotten down. How's he dropping his, like, how's his technique so much better? And he's a bigger man, he's a taller man. How's he getting down in that distance? Like, when he hit, which I suppose we regard as one of his highest tackles, was one of the Barretts. I don't know which one of them got fucking clattered this time, but it was he shut down it getting swung right out to the wing. But he hit him chest height. But I mean, it was the way he had to get down for it at speed. It was like, because Barrett kind of changed a direction and turned into him. But it was like, you're 6'7". Fucking hell. And there's not a bother on you.
But I always say to the taller kids that I coach, you have to work harder than everyone else. So someone like Sam Kane is not that tall, whereas those taller players, they know they're fucked. If they hit anyone standing up, they're fucked. So they're almost like, they'll just be
nearly overcompensating, like, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely overcompensating. And they know, like, they can't, if they get caught, so they work harder on it. I'll say that to, like, because they almost feel like it's unfair, especially the kids now. It's like, you'd be like, hit this target, and they'd be like, but that's way harder for me. I'm like, yeah, so that's your responsibility. That's, your height is your superpower, so you're gonna have to work even harder than everyone else. And they're all like, oh yeah, okay, like, they kind of enjoy this extra responsibility, which I'm sure those, like, the taller players will know as well, that they can't drive through with the shoulder like that, or they're fucked. And then, like, oh yeah, I didn't think Sia Khaleesi's was a red card, and I was like, oh, I hope they don't try and manipulate it here to make it a bit more, like, easy flowing, like, just to give them both 14 players. Yeah. But it is what it is. It was just such a, but it's bound to happen. Like, players are so tired, the stakes are so high, it's so marginal, in every fucking step you take could be a difference between winning and losing, so I just thought the All Blacks, just with the mistakes, like, above in Derry's now, whoever it was, after some drop ball, when, like, New Zealand had acres of space first, and he was like, that's a match changing moment there now. And I was like, yeah, I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And it's yeah.
See, you got to watch it. You see, you watched it with. See, I knew if I was near a Derry's now, I'd have no problem. But I knew full well, you see, being in Galway in that frame of mind, I'd be surrounded by fucking Americans. I knew it. I just knew it. Yeah. That's what had happened. Mm-hmm. They'd be like, "Oh my god, I love rugby!" Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, giving you the rules and stuff.
Can I tell you about the worst breakfast I've had in a long time? Not because of the breakfast, but it was just, I just knew I had to get it off my chest. I have many American cousins. fuck me, America's they can ruin a fucking breakfast on a man. Oh my good God. I, I sat by myself in this quiet cafe Sunday morning. Not a bit dusty, but not too bad. Sat there having a very nice breakfast. Only for a group of Americans to sit across from me and a couple of Americans to sit right beside me. And for as long as it took for that breakfast to come out and for me to eat that breakfast, I never once took my thought off kicking the table over, telling them all to shut the fuck up. I swear to
Oh
the
no.
conversations were so devoid of any
Give us a
fucking.
snippet.
So this is the couple now, alongside us, alongside me. So still can't get over it. Like, you've so many like nieces and nephews. I know, right? It's crazy. It's like 7 now. Yeah, so many kids. Wow. Then 30 seconds will pass, and I swear to God, I just want to just slap their table and go, would you shut the fuck up to two or read a book or something? And next thing, your man, they're both sitting on the exact same style of seat. And I swear to God, your man was so lacking in any form of creativity inside his fucking head that this is all he could come up with. Hey, are you comfortable enough in your seat, or do you want to swap with me? And genuinely, rather than her looking up going, are you fucking all right in the head? I'm sitting on the same seat, you gowl, which is what she should have been thinking. Instead, she genuinely kind of just shuffled her arse in the seat and looked up to the stars as if I'm having a good think here. Then looked back at him and went, no, I'm okay.
Well, that was very kind of him.
No, Anna. You see, that's the fucking knob. It'd be nice, it'd be kind of him if he was sitting on like the bench seat or something. He knew full fucking well he was sitting on the exact same seat as that woman. He was just such a fucking ball bag. He couldn't think of anything else. But that's just a snippet. The group across the way spent at least 12 and a half minutes, 5 of them, describing what a different coffee was. So like a latte is like more than milk. Yeah. So what like if you can imagine, and this is the fucking conversation. I just want to catch my plate, sausages and all, the whole lot, and just hope that it would spin around like something out of Mad Max, like the boomerang, and hit them all in the head. And I wouldn't care. I was enjoying if I lost my sausages. This was just, I was like, ye are of no fucking use to me whatsoever, ye shower bastards. And thank God I didn't go into the pub last night, because the likes of you would have been in there. Fuck off. You fucking like, oh, it was fucking terrible. I nearly wanted to ask for fucking get paid rather than paying for the breakfast. It was the most painful fucking time.
You should have got room service.
I should have had, but I wanted to go out for an old stroll. Do you know what I mean? And fucking get an orange juice and stuff and get some sun on my face and whatnot. But because no doubt your room service would have been the very same. Do you know what I mean? It would have been just.
Where's this in Galway?
Yeah. Oh no, Galway. This is the bizarre thing about Galway, right? Especially on the Sunday. Glorious, beautiful. We go into one gig. The first gig, it was in the Dean, in the ballroom in the Dean. Great crack. And the idea was then I take the entire audience and they follow the rep that we had with us who was at the door. And they follow Lenny. There was 2 reps. They go follow them and I'll see you up there. And we were going up to the Hardyman, which was previously known as the Great Southern, at the bottom of Ayr Square, which, by the way, has no business the likes of a group of comedy people walking in when there's a pianist in the lobby and people having high tea and we're all shuffling by to go to the ballroom to watch some comedy. But we go in there for an hour, come back out, and it looks like the place has been power washed. That's how much rain has just deluged and stopped, and the sun is back out again. So I didn't get rained on once while in Galway. Not once.
Unreal.
Yeah, it actually was unreal. It was like, have you just been raining while I'm indoors? This is great. But yeah, and I knew I was itching then. I said, right, I better go home and watch this match. You know, it was easier on the soul to watch it. Then I was like, yeah, sure, look at for fuck's sake. And I'm making all these storylines up in my head, going, there, for fuck's sake, you know. But it was I came to it with I can only remember the briefest of the boxing analogy, and the idea being is that you talk about it all the time, that the likes of South Africa and New Zealand, they know how to win. They just know how to win when it's needed.
Mm.
So if you take it in one fight, the entire season is one, the entire World Cup has been just one fight. Whereas Ireland are they're the ranked number one fighter. It's Mike Tyson. Like, just Jesus Christ Almighty, nobody wants to face him. They come out every single round. They're going to absolutely put you in through the fucking canvas. They just want to put every team through the canvas, not even try and take a breather, lay on the ropes, maybe see what they can do. Every single round, want to fucking like the knockout. They're going for the knockout in every single one. Fighter Deontay Wilder would follow that prospect. 29 knockouts in 30 fights. Whereas you take somebody like South Africa or even New Zealand, who are just owl dogs for the road, long time at it, don't mind getting dropped in the first, or in South Africa's case, getting dropped in the third. Grand, we'll take a standing count. Fuck yeah. I'll rest while I'm here, actually. I could take a good couple of gulps of air while I'm here, because the next few rounds I'll just ride the ropes. And when it comes to the final round, I'm glad, because even the final round, the final was not a knockout punch by either one. Do you know what I mean? It was just riding it out and seeing how the judges counted at the end. And that's all it was. It was just a judges count at the end. There was nobody. Nobody absolutely got floored, knockout, standing over your opponent, dead, off to the hospital with you. It was not. It was waiting. The judges had to call it. And I guess, unfortunate for New Zealand, it was just not. It wasn't for them like that night. Like, but they didn't do enough to win it either. So, in a boxing analogy, it was interesting that you'd said even a couple of weeks ago, Rassie doesn't give one fuck if he loses in the pool, but just if they scrape through, it's enough.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind of like an older player, like myself. I'd be like me in the gym now. Like, in the gym, especially now, and it's good to have like healthy competition in the gym, but like, you'd be kind of pushing yourself and then you fuck up your back or something, which is ironic because it's kind of what I did to I fucked up my own back, but it actually wasn't from being competitive. But honestly now, like, I know I just have to get through the motions of the gym so that I can be 100% when I play. So I'm not like looking at other people's weights on the bar. I'm just like, I'm doing what's good for my body, because I want to. It's when it counts, which is when I play, is when I want to make it like that. That's when I have to be 100%.
Yes.
So like you go through the motions about, and that's kind of like the pool stages, going through the motions and doing enough. I'll have to do enough for my body, to be strong enough and be in a good shape. But I don't need to be competing with myself or anyone else to be like, yes, I've just lifted 120 kg in a back squat and now I can't fucking run.
Yes, yeah.
The same kind of when you were talking about that there. That's what it made me think of. But it's absolutely right.
We just came out of it like fucking swinging, and by God, everybody was frightened of us. Do you know what I mean? And still, nobody would actually really want to get in the ring with us.
But it would be like someone that you'd spot in the gym. Someone who's like, oh,
animal.
And then they come out. And then they come out on the road pitch, and I've seen that from people as well, and I've seen them swinging their Mickies in the gym, and then coming onto the pitch and playing like a bag of shite. So you're like, well, what was your priority there? And that actually has annoyed me about some of the gym stuff I've done with certain teams in the past. Like, basically, I'm saying swinging Mickies. Well, I don't know where I've got that from, but like,
oh, it's perfect. It's perfectly funny.
Yeah,
it's
like swinging a Mickey in the gym and then playing like a bag of shite. Like, what would you prefer? I'd prefer to play 100% and not like and my Mickey tucked between my legs.
Do you know what the title of today's show will be? Swinging Mickey.
Like, oh Jesus, what are they on now?
To be fair, our titles have been fairly.
A fiver in the hand is worth a swinging Mickey in the bush.
There you go. Oh, do you know what? I think on that fantastic wrap up of we'll take a breather. Thankfully, the World Cup has come to an end. It wasn't our year, but look at we made a good show of ourselves.
That's over.
Yeah, I mean, honourable mention to Andy Farrell. I mean, case in point, Andy Farrell got Coach of the Year. I think everybody can agree. It's like, yeah, holy Jesus, yeah, class. We got 5 Irish players, which, to be fair, I think is fair. It's fair with the players they picked were outrageously good. Like,
Yeah.
But clearly there was like one South African player. It's like, I think this might have been picked a bit earlier. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but it is World Player of the Year, and they haven't a lot of the earlier games and stats are taken into consideration as well. So to be honest, I'd prefer to have no players on it and have a World Cup in my pocket. So
100%.
we'll take it.
100%.
We'll take it.
I think people are already looking now to the next big thing. I mean, they're looking past the fucking Six Nations, for Christ's sake. I don't know how they're doing that, but they're looking at the Lions tour next. I see a group of people from different places who were like, well, who's your first pick? And it was like Caelan Doris. That's where we're starting.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Actually, Caelan Doris would be 100%.
Definitely. Oh, so brilliant. It's such a shame we didn't get to see the players like that. In just the last 2 weeks, I've missed them.
I know.
Anyway, we won't dwell.
Yes, we won't dwell on it. I suppose
we won't Peter dwell too tight. What?
I suppose are we taking a break for a little while? Are we?
I don't know. Sure, text me next week and see what you're
exactly.
up to.
Well, we might still. I'm still getting tapped up as to when we're going to do our scrums, because the URC has started now. So, and there is still rugby. So I think we might. Yeah, we'll just text each other next week and see how it's going. But at least we've gotten through the World Cup anyway.
Yeah.
Anna's been to most of it. So that's legitimized this podcast far more than a lot of other fucking rugby podcasts out there talking from their warm little studios in Dublin. We've Anna's actually been.
Yeah.
It's danced and celebrated with those folks and commiserated with those folks. But other than that, I suppose we'll sign off for this evening. Jesus Christ, I'm back kind of half crying again.
I know. We'll be all right.
Well, look, there's I know there's chocolate in the house because there's children expected around the place, so I'd probably go eat some of that.
Great. There must be. I didn't hear. I actually didn't even listen out for the other door. So
it's
looks like look at a load of chocolate.
It's pissing out of the heavens here. Fair play to any youngster that shows up. They'll get the whole the first one will get the whole lot.
All right.
First child up gets gout. Right. Mind ourselves.
Okay. Slán Tamil.
It's the Banana and Bears Rugby Pod.